I think we are okay now. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to our criminology lecture series. This is our. I think we had a network issue at the beginning, so maybe should I start it again, or is it working right now properly? Can I check it again before I go with the schools of criminology, the positive school of criminology? Okay, let me check it again. If it is working properly, then we can go ahead with the positive school of criminology. I don't know what's happening. This is my second time today. Is that my video is, I think this is also ended. I don't know why it's happening, but it's ended. Okay, I think it's working right now. Is it working? I can see one person is online, but I can't find anything live here. Okay, I can find there's yeah, it's live here probably. Yes, it's working. One person is there, so I can move ahead with the positive school of criminology probably. So thank you for patience and okay, the new classical school, it modified the approach of classical school by recognizing the age of the offender, the mental condition of the offender, the coercion and other circumstances that could affect the criminal responsibility. In today's lecture, we will study the positivist school of criminology. The positivist school is one of the most important development in criminology because it shifted attention from the crime alone to the criminal and the causes of criminal behavior. Instead of asking why, what punishment should be given, what punishment should be given for this crime, positive criminology actually asks why does a person commit crime. It asks the very questions of why a person commits a crime. Are there biological, psychological, social, economic, or environment factors behind any criminal behavior? This sense marked the beginning of scientific study of criminology. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand the meaning, the background, principles, major thinkers, contributors, criticisms, and modern relevance of positive school of criminology. So we are going to begin with the meaning of positivism. The word positivism refers to the use of scientific methods to study social phenomena. In criminology, positivism means studying crime through observation, measurement, evidence, statistics, case studies, and scientific investigation. The positive school rejects the idea that every crime is simply the result of a completely free and rational choice. According to positivists, human behavior is influenced by many factors that may be beyond a person's full control. These factors may actually control like biological factors, mental and psychological conditions, family environments, poverty, unemployment. It may be education, can be addiction to various stuffs, not only just addiction to intoxicating stuffs, but it can be addiction to other things too, like other psychological stuffs too. It can be like peer influence, it can be social inequality, neighboring conditions, it can be opportunity of crime, etc. Therefore, positivists argue that crime should be understood scientifically before deciding how to prevent it or to respond it. Okay, someone says Rod Rexus, hi Mr. or Miss not Rexus. Okay, so coming to the historical background of the positive school of criminology, the positive school actually developed mainly during the 19th century. This period saw rapid development in science, medicine, biology, psychology, statistics, anthropology, and sociology. Scientists saw rapid developments in science, medicine, biology, psychology, etc. Okay, they were studying human body, heredity, evolution, mental illness, and social behavior. This development actually influenced criminology. At the same time, industrialization and urbanization created new social problems, including that of like overcrowding problems, poverty, urbanization, unemployment, migration, poor housing, alcoholism, and last but not the least, the organized crime, which is one of the major criminal factors in one of the major factors of crime in present day society. So criminologists began to believe that crime couldn't be explained only by free will or moral weakness, that it was followed by the classical school of criminology. They began to study offenders directly. They examined prisons, populations, the inmates, their physical characteristics, family history, mental conditions, and social environments. This gave rise to the positive or scientific school of criminology. Now, what's the main difference between classical and positive school? The classical school asks the very question of why did a rational person choose to commit this crime? On the other hand, the positive school asks what are the factors that caused or influenced this person to commit crime? The classical school focused mainly on the criminal act and its punishments. The positivist school, it focused more on the offender, the cause of crime, the method of treatment, prevention, and rehabilitation. The classical school supports deterrence through certain proportionate punishment systems. The positivist school supports scientific diagnosis, classification of offenders, treatment, reform, and social prevention. Now we are moving ahead with the main principles of a positive school. Let's discuss what are the main principles of positive school, starting with determinism. So what is determinism? The central principle of positivism is determinism. Determinism means that human behavior is influenced or determined by causes. Okay, according to positivists, crime doesn't happen without reason. Criminal behaviors may be shaped by biological, psychological, social, and environmental conditions. For example, a young person may become involved in crime due to a combination of like poverty, school dropouts, peer pressure, family violence, addiction, and easy access to criminal networks. This doesn't mean that every person facing hardship will commit crime. It means that the criminology should study the risk factors and conditions that increase the possibility of criminal behavior. Next principle of positive school of criminology is it employed scientific method. The positive school uses scientific method. This method includes like observation. These methods includes like measurement, data collection, statistics, interviews, case studies, medical examinations, psychological testing, comparative research, and other methods which are actually scientific in nature. Instead of relying on philosophy, religion, or legal reasoning, the proponents of positive school of criminology, they wanted to collect evidence about offenders and crime patterns. Modern criminology continues to use this approach through different crime statistics, victimization surveys, forensic psychology, prison studies, and research on policing and criminal justice. Coming to the third principle of positive school of criminology, that it focuses on criminal rather than only on crime. This is very important, that positive school of criminology focuses on criminals rather than on crime. The classical school, on the other hand, it focused on the offense, it focused on the crime, okay, and the positive school here, it focused on the criminal and criminal behaviors. The positive school focused on the offender. Positivist, they ask questions like what is the offender family background, and did the offender experience abuse, neglect, or trauma? Does the offender have mental health or addiction issues? What is the offender's education and employment history? Does the offender belong to a criminal peer group? Is the offender a first-time offender? Is he occasional offender, habitual, or is he a dangerous offender? This approach actually encouraged the classification of offenders and development of correctional treatments. This is the third principle of criminology, which is actually about how this positive school focused on the criminal itself rather than on the crime. Next principle is that individualization of treatment. The positive school proponents believe that the different offenders may require different responses. For example, a juvenile offender, a person with substance dependence, a person with severe mental illness, and a habitual violent offender may not benefit from the same types of punishment. Therefore, positivism supports individual treatments. Possible responses of such treatments, they may include counseling, education, skill development, de-addiction programs, probation, community supervision, mental health treatment, rehabilitation, secure custody with necessary mechanisms. These are various individualized mechanisms to treat or to redress the criminal. The goal is not only to punish but to reduce the future offending probabilities. Okay. Coming to the next principle of positive school of criminology, it states that crime prevention is through social reform. It focuses on social reform. The positive school believes that crime prevention requires more than police and punishment. The crime is influenced by poverty, unemployment, lack of education, poor housing, family background, addiction, and so other types of social exclusion. Then society must address such conditions also to get rid of crime and criminal behavior. Yes, Miss Ria, I am Indian actually. This idea influenced welfare politics, juvenile justice, prison reforms, community policing, social work, and other rehab programs. So these are the principles of positive school of criminology. They are like crime prevention through social reforms, individualization of treatment, focus on criminal rather than only on crime, scientific method, and determinism. Okay. So next we are going with the profile of the proponents. That is the primary proponent of the positive school is Cesar Lombroso, who is also called the father of modern criminology. So Cesar Lombroso is one of the earliest and most famous positivist criminologist. He is often called the father of modern criminology because he attempted to study criminals through observation and scientific methods. Lombroso was an Italian physician who examined prisoners, soldiers, psychiatric patients, and others. He believed that some criminals were biologically different from ordinary people. His most famous theory was the theory of born criminal. it may be questioned from in any exam, maybe in UGC NET, that what was the most famous theory of Cesar Lombroso. It is born criminal. Okay, so moving ahead with the theory of born criminal, Lombroso argued that some persons are born with inherited criminal tendencies. He believed that such persons were atavistic. The word atavistic is very much important in positive school of criminology. So it's not an usual word that we find in other subjects or other literature. So to the atavistic, atavistic. So Lombroso believed that the born criminals are atavistics. Okay, meaning they had physical and behavioral characteristics resembling earlier stages of human evolution. According to Lombroso, born criminals could be identified through certain physical features, which he called stigmata. So atavism and stigmata, these were the terms that Lombroso used to describe born criminals. He listed some features like unusual shape of the skull, large jaws, asymmetric face, long arms, large ears, prominent cheekbones, unusual eyes, excessive tattoos, lack of sensitivity to pain, etc. A lot more physical features or biological features he has mentioned. Lombroso believed that these physical features could indicate criminal tendencies. However, this theory is now rejected by modern science. Physical appearances actually can't reliably identify whether a person will commit crime or not. Such ideas can lead to prejudice, discrimination, and actually racial bias and unfair treatment. Still, Lombroso remains historically important because he shifted modern criminology towards empirical observation and scientific investigation. So Lombroso is the first one who studied criminology from evidence-based, from a scientific point of view. So how Lombroso classified criminals? Lombroso's classification of criminals, he later modified his views and classified criminal into different categories, like born criminals. According to him, born criminals had inherited criminal tendencies and physical stigmata. Next, he classified criminals into insane criminals. These were persons who committed crimes due to mental illness or mental disorder. He got another classification which are called criminaloids. Criminaloids were persons who were not born criminals but committed crime due to circumstances, opportunity, or maybe lack of opportunity, social environment, or maybe due to temptation. So occasional criminals, he has also gone with other classification of occasional criminals. Occasional criminals committed crime according to him under particular circumstances such as financial pressure, opportunity, or maybe provocation. He has gone with another classification which are called passionate criminals. Okay, passionate criminals committed offense. They commit offense due to strong emotions such as anger, jealousy, maybe revenge, or sudden emotional disturbances. So these are the classification propounded by Lombroso, like passionate criminals, occasional criminals, criminaloids, insane criminals, and most importantly, his first theory of born criminals. Okay, so these classifications were imperfect and not accepted as scientific fact as of today. However, it showed an early attempt to distinguish between different types of offenders. So this is how Lombroso contributed. If we go ahead with the contribution of Lombroso, he made several historical contributions. He shifted attention from offense to the offender. He used observation and empirical studies. He encouraged the study of biological and psychological factors. He influenced later research on criminal behavior from a scientific point of view. He contributed to the development of criminal anthropology. So these were the very much contribution of Lombroso. There's a lot more criticism on Lombroso. Actually, his theory is utterly rejected in present times. It's just a history, and it's strongly criticized. First, his research methods were weak and biased. Second criticism is that he often studied prisoners but didn't adequately compare them with non-criminal populations. Thirdly, physical features are influenced by ethnicity, nutrition, poverty, health, and many other factors. Not that he has mentioned in his theories, like biological or factors that he could see on a human body. Fourthly, the criticism is that the theory ignored social and economic causes of crime, which is very important. Fifthly and lastly, it could justify discrimination against person based on appearance. His theory was, even I personally feel, it was a bit racial too. So it led to discrimination based on appearance of someone. So in modern criminology, it rejects the claims that criminals can be identified by facial features or body type. So Lombroso's theory in modern criminology is utterly rejected, but it still remains cornerstone of the scientific study of criminology, since he has first started evidence-based or research-based method on criminal research, that is called scientific criminology. Okay, so this is what we have so far learned about Lombroso, as we call him father of modern criminology or father of scientific criminology. Moving ahead with another proponent of positivist school of criminology, that is Enrico Ferri. He propounded multiple factor theory. Enrico Ferri was a major positivist criminologist and a student of Lombroso actually. Enrico Ferri was actually a student of Lombroso. Ferri accepted that biological factors may influence behavior, but he argued that crime cannot be explained by biology alone. He actually got his theory a bit different than from his teacher. He developed a broader explanation known as multiple factor theory. According to Ferri, actually, crime results from the interaction of several factors. He grouped these factors into three categories. First category, as he mentioned, was anthropological factors. These factors relate to the individual person. They may be like age, gender, physical condition, mental condition, personality, intelligence, emotional stability, heredity, temperament. These are one of the some of the anthropological factors that Enrico Ferri has mentioned. For example, impulsivity, poor emotional control, poor emotional control, or certain mental health conditions may increase the risk of increase the risk of offending in some circumstances. So, however, such factors do not automatically make a person criminal. Even though some persons may have such factors, it is not in a level that such factor will lead to him as a criminal. Okay. Coming to physical factors of Enrico Ferri, they can be climate, they can be temperature, seasons, geography, population, density, and even maybe natural surroundings. For example, crime patterns may change in crowded urban areas during particular seasons or in places with poor infrastructure and limited public safety. Modern criminology studies environmental factors through fields such as environmental criminology and the crime mapping. So coming to the physical factors, and particularly with seasons and geography, I can remember that there is some research which shows that crime against property comes more in numbers in winter crime against property comes more in winter, yeah, actually, and crime against people come more in summer. Okay, crime against person come more in the summer in numbers, and crime against property comes more in winter. And researchers have found that with very various evidence-based methodologies, but this may be inclined towards the physical factors of Enrico Ferri. So moving ahead with other factor, that is social factor. It relates to an environment in which a person lives. It can be poverty, unemployment, uh, illiteracy, poor housing, family conflict, alcohol, and maybe drug misuse, social inequality, lack of recreation, lack of education, peer influence, weak community institutions, and more others. Enrico Ferri believed that social factors were extremely important in understanding crime. He argued that society should use social substitutes to prevent crime. And now, what are the social substitutes? Social substitutes are social reforms designed to reduce crime before it happens. It can be better education, employment opportunities, improved housing, public health measures, alcohol control policies, child welfare programs, recreational facilities, labor welfare. It can be poverty reduction, it can be community development, and a lot more. Enrico Ferri believed that preventing crime through social reform is more effective than relying only on punishment. This idea remains highly relevant in modern crime prevention policy. So this was Enrico Ferri, who has done with multiple factor theory, from social substitutes to social factors, environmental, physical factors, and other factors. So coming to the third trio of a positive school of criminology, the third persons of the third proponent of positive school of criminology, that is Raffaele Garofalo. These three names are very important. Cesare Lombroso, Enrico Ferri, and Raffaello Garofalo, also called trio of Italian school of criminology. Positive school also called the Italian school of criminology. Raffaello Garofalo was another major member of the positivist school. Garofalo, he was very important because he used the term criminology in a systematic academic manner. He developed the concept of natural crime. According to Garofalo, natural crime are acts that violate basic human sentiments necessary for social life. He identified two major sentiments. One is pity, another is probity. Pity and probity, these two factors, these two sentiments he has identified. Pity means compassion or respect for the life and physical well-being of others. Pity is the mutual respect of one person to the another, for the physical well-being of everyone, maybe the other persons. On the other hand, probity means honesty, integrity, and respect for property and social trust. Okay, so pity means it's unto the person, okay, and probity means unto the property and social trust, the social bonding. Okay, so according to Garofalo, crimes such as murder, serious violence, theft, and fraud, such crimes violate the very basic principles of pity and probity. So how Garofalo classified criminals? He classified offenders into broad categories. They can be like murderers who lacked pity and committed serious violence against others, violent criminals, persons who committed offenses involving cruelty or aggression, property offenders, persons who lacked probity and committed theft, fraud, or dishonest acts. He also gone with lascivious offenders. And what is lascivious offenders? A person who committed sexual offenses according to the moral categories of his time. some of Garofalo's classifications, as we mentioned, they are outdated as of moral assumptions and are not accepted in modern criminology. However, the work of Raffaello Garofalo is important historically because he tried to identify the social and moral values protected by criminal law. Coming to Garofalo's views on punishment, he believed that punishment should protect society from dangerous offenders. He supported different responses depending on the offender's capacity for adjustment. Garofalo believed that some offenders could be reformed while others might require long-term incapacitation. Modern criminology accepts the need for public protection but rejects any approach that denies human rights, due process, or possibility of rehabilitation without strong evidence. So there are other positive thinkers. We have discussed three of them. That is Cesare Lombroso, Enrico Fermi, and Raffaello Garofalo. Actually, my avatar is not working. I don't know why. Maybe after 30 minutes of live, it starts to work on itself. So maybe if my stream, if I get more viewers, I will try to purchase the pro version of this software, and then maybe lip synchronization will happen. So coming to other positive thinkers, apart from Lombroso, Ferri, and Raffaello Garofalo, other thinkers contributed to positive criminology. Some of them are like Charles Goring. Charles Goring conducted research on prisoners in England. He criticized Lombroso's claim that criminals had distinct physical features. However, he argued that some offenders may have inherited traits related to intelligence, temperament, or mental capacity. His work helped weaken the theory of born criminal. Actually, his work attacked or gone against the work of Cesare Lombroso, the very father of scientific criminology or modern criminology. Next proponent of a positive school of criminology was William Sheldon. William Herbert Sheldon. He proposed that body types may be linked to personality and delinquency. He identified three body types, which is very important for exam purposes: endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. Endomorph, they were soft, round body type. Mesomorph, they were with muscular body type. And ectomorph were like thin body type. Sheldon suggested that mesomorphic persons may be more likely to engage in delinquency. Okay, mesomorphs were those with muscular body type. Okay, built-in body type. So William Sheldon suggested that mesomorphic persons, that persons with muscular body type, they may be more likely to engage in criminal behavior. So this theory is also widely criticized because body type doesn't determine criminal behavior. So in present time, it is not accepted as a mainstream theory of criminology. It is just historically relevant, but not accepted as a reliable explanation of crime. So we have discussed various proponents of positive school of criminology. Going with the merits of positive school of criminology, the positive school made very important contribution to criminology. Firstly, it introduced scientific methods into the study of crime. It is the first school which incorporated scientific methods into the study of crime. Secondly, it shifted attention from offense to offender. It is very important because in classical and neoclassical school of criminology, we saw in previous lectures that the focus was on the offense itself. The focus was on the crime itself. But the positive school actually gone far to get its focus on the offender, on the crime, not on the criminal, not on the crime or not on the offense. Thirdly, it encouraged research into biological, psychological, and social causes of crime. Fourthly, it supported individualized treatment and rehabilitation. So individualization of criminal behavior was very much focused in positive school of criminology. Fifthly, it influenced probation, parole, juvenile justice, prison reform, and correctional programs. Then it encouraged it encouraged crime prevention through social welfare and community reforms. And lastly, it helped criminology develop as an independent academic discipline. It's very much important because for an academic discipline to be independent, there need to be scientific and evidence-based studies. So through positive criminology, the subjects of criminology or domain of criminology evolved as a primary domain or primary subject with evidence-based and scientific research. Now, moving ahead with the criticism of positive school of criminology. The positive school was also important, had also many important limitations. Firstly, some early positivist theories were biologically deterministic. It really relied on more biological determinism. They suggested that people may be born criminal, but or people may be necessarily dangerous, which is very much against the actual social norms. Okay, it may be sometimes racist, okay, to say people, to label some people necessarily dangerous or born criminal. This can reduce individual responsibility and it may also promote discrimination. Secondly, early studies often had weak methods and biased samples. Thirdly, positivism may give excessive power to experts, doctors, psychologists, or state institutions to label people as dangerous. Okay, it gave the method of profiling, which were actually not very scientific from the point of view of present criminology or present scientific studies, that experts, doctors, or law enforcement could identify people which may be dangerous according to this theory, but which were not in real. Fourthly, it may ignore the role of choice, moral responsibility, and free will. Then some theorists may be used to justify unequal treatment based on class, race, gender, disability, or appearance from this positive school of criminology. So hence, with all these criticisms, we can draw out that modern criminology uses scientific methods but also emphasizes on ethics, human rights, equality, due process, and careful evidence-based methods than relying on the Lombroso's methodologies or methodologies that lacked detailed scientific or detailed evidence-based methods and surveys. So as we have gone with the contribution and limitations of positive school of criminology, we if we now go with the relevance of positive school with the modern criminology, we can find that positive school remains relevant because modern criminology still studies causes and risk factors of crime. For example, modern research examines childhood neglect and abuses. It researches on school dropout ratios, on substance dependence and abuse, mental health needs, family conflict, peer networks, poverty and unemployment, urban violence, cybercrime opportunities, maybe repeat offending, and rehabilitation and outcomes. So modern criminal justice system use risk assessment, probation reports, psychological evaluation, correctional counseling, and rehab programs. However, modern practice should never assume that a person is criminal because of physical appearance like caste, class, ethnicity, disability, or family background, some of whom were actually propounded by some of the earliest, some of the earlier theorists of this school of criminology. So scientific criminology must always be guided by constitutional values, human dignity, fairness, and evidence-based methodologies. So as we are discussing about positive school of criminology, now from an Indian point of view, or from with relevance to India, we must also discuss about it. The positive school is relevant to Indian criminal justice system because India increasingly recognizes that punishment alone cannot reduce crime. Crime prevention requires social support, education, employment, mental health care, child protection, addiction treatment, victim support, and community level interventions. In India, the BNS or Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 provides substantive criminal law, while the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita or BNSS 2023 provides criminal procedures. The Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam BSA 2022 governs evidence. The Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act of 2015 and later amendments reflects positivist ideas by focusing on rehab, focusing on care, protection, education, and social integration or social reintegration of children in conflict with law. Probation, parole, prison reforms, counseling, de-addiction programs, and correctional education also reflect the idea that offenders should be studied and treated according to their individual needs. Okay, someone is saying that some evil Kudni YouTube 782 says, are you CJP or Ellen? Actually, I am not with CJP. I am with something. What to say? that's a funny question. Actually, I am not with CJP. I am with maybe Ogi Janta Party. There is something against the CJP. When it was first emerged, it says like one page of Instagram was CJP, Cockroach Janta Party, and one says that it's from Ogi Janta Party. So I may be from Ogi Janta Party because I like cartoons and others. Brother, where are you from? I'm from India. Thank you for asking. So I am trying to build this channel, and I am focused more on criminology. I have my background on criminology and also on defense and strategic studies. So in where I'm from Northeast India. Okay, you can keep asking. Let me go with my lecture too. And now I am where in India, in Northeast India actually. Classification, if we go with the comparison with classical school and positive school of criminology, the main idea of classical school was the crime as a rational choice. Okay, on the other hand, in positive school of criminology, it's that crime is influenced by causes and conditions. Okay, in classical school, the idea of free will was given more importance. Okay, the strong emphasis on free will was given, but on the positivist school, limited free will was given focus, and mainly behavior may be determined by factors, some other factors that were actually mainly main premises of positive school of criminology. Crime and punishment were one of the main premises of classical school, and criminal and causes of crime as well as criminals, these were other premises of positive school of criminology. Methods in classical school were like philosophy and legal reasoning. In positive school, the method was scientific observation and research. Purpose of punishment in classical school, it was like deterrence and proportionality, while in positivist school, treatment, rehab, prevention, and social defense was the positive school's method of purpose of punishment. Regarding view of offenders, generally in classical school it was regarded that it's individuals are responsible, while in positive school it was said that individuals are influenced by biological, psychological and social factors. I have got some messages. Okay, no name. Oh yes, of course there is no name. Are you reading? I am reading, I am writing, I have some books, I have my laptops in front of me and some lecture notes there from my university. Also I have learned criminology from academic point of view. So that's I am doing. Not only I am reading, I am also doing other things. Major thinkers of classical schools were Beccaria and Bentham, and while Di Trio, Lombroso, Ferri, and Garofalo were that of Positive School of Criminology. So coming to the conclusion of Positive School of Criminology, let's summarize today's lecture without wasting other times. The positive school developed in the 19th century and introduced scientific methods of criminology. It rejected the idea that crime is always completely free and rational choice. It argued that criminal behavior may be influenced by biological, psychological, social and environmental factors. Cesar Lombroso, he studied criminals and proposed the theory of born criminals. His physical feature theory is now rejected, he remains important for introducing empirical observations. Enrico Ferri, on the other hand, developed the multi-factor theory and explained crime through anthropological, physical, and social factors. He supported social reforms as a method of crime prevention. Lastly, Raffaello Garofalo, he developed the idea of natural crime and emphasized the protection of society. The positive school contributed to scientific criminology, offender classification, rehab, juvenile justice, probation, parole, prison reform, and social crime prevention. At the same time, early positivist theories must be studied critically because they could promote determinism, discrimination, and misuse of state power. So that was today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will be studying psychological theories of crime, including personality theories, intelligence theory, and other behavioral explanation. So if we go with a quick revision of our today's lecture, if you have any question, you may still ask related to criminology. All right, not about where I am from, what I am reading, or what my name is. I don't want to disclose my name. I don't want to do anything. Okay, so going with the quick revision, positivist school here. The crime is influenced by biological, psychological, social, and environmental factors. It is the main premises of positivist school. Main method of positivist school is observation, measurement, statistics, case studies, and scientific research. We can note about Cesar Lombroso. He had the theory of born criminal, historically important, but physical feature theory is actually rejected. Enrico Ferri, he propounded the multiple factor theory like anthropological factors, physical factor, and social factors, as well as social substitutes. Next, Raffaello Garofalo, he has contributed on natural crime with the theory of pity and probity. So this theory or this school of criminology had main contribution on the scientific study of crime, on the scientific study of treatment, rehab, and prevention. So with this, we come to the actual end of the lecture. After this lecture, we are going to discuss about some 10-15 MCQs. If you want, would you like to have some MCQ related to UGC NET? If you want to discuss about some MCQs which may be relevant for UGC NET exam, we can discuss that. Give me a minute. So here is the question. MCQ number 1 is which scholar is famously recognized as the father of modern criminology for initiating scientific study of offender. It actually asks about the father of modern criminology. You actually know the sources. There are 4 sources. One is Cesar Lombroso, Jeremy Bentham, Enrico Ferri, and Cesar Beccaria. So I'm sure with your if you have gone through this lecture, you would be able to answer it. The correct answer is Cesar Lombroso. Lombroso shifted the focus from legalistic study to scientific examination of individual offenders' physical and psychological traits. Coming next, the concept of atavism. It suggested that criminals are what the concept of atavism suggested. It are the criminals are rational actors, biological throwbacks, economic victims, or socially deviant. So what is atavism? Who propounded atavism? Atavism was propounded by Cesar Lombroso. It refers to reappearance of characteristics of a primitive ancestor in a modern individual, suggesting criminals are less evolved. So the answer is B, that is biological throwbacks. Who authored the influential work Criminal Sociology? The book is Criminal Sociology and introduced the law of criminal saturation. So who introduced the law of criminal saturation? Was it Cesar Lombroso, Auguste Comte, Raffaello Garofalo, or Enrico Ferri? The law of criminal saturation and criminal sociology. Who wrote this book and introduced this theory? The answer is Auguste Comte. Comte is the father of sociology or positivism in general, but he didn't actually author the criminal sociology. He has gone with the law of criminal saturation. According to Raffaello Garofalo, the natural crime is an act that violates 2 basic altruistic sentiments of, we have already discussed that, it will be love and justice, right? Oh, sorry, no, it is fear and greed. Right? No, it's duty and honor. It's not so. Oh, I thought that's so. Okay, I think you quite remember. It is pity and probity. According to Raffaello Garofalo, he propounded the theory of natural crime. Particularly, he done with 2 altruistic sentiments, that is pity and probity. Garofalo defined pity as sentiments of revulsions against voluntary infliction of suffering, and probity as respect to property rights. So pity is, as he said, is towards persons, and feeling towards person, and probity is towards people, or towards property. Coming to question number 5, the positive school of criminology fundamentally reject which core tenet of classical school: rehabilitation, social defense, or free will. So I'm sure you would definitely know that positive school argues on determinism, that human behavior is determined by internal and external factors beyond individual control. So definitely the answer would be free will. That is, positive school of criminology has rejected the core idea of free will of classical school of criminology. Coming to question number 4, William Sheldon's theory of somatotypes, it associated which body types is most closely linked with aggressive and criminal behavior. We have gone with 3 body types or somatotypes from William Sheldon's theory. One is mesomorph, ectomorph, and exomorph. So we have just few minutes ago discussed about it. The answer is mesomorph. Mesomorph are muscular and athletic built body, and according to William Sheldon, they were theorized to be more prone or active, even aggressive, and with criminal lifestyles. Coming to question number 7, which classification did Lombroso use for criminals who were not born but were led to crime by circumstances or passion? Lombroso has gone with many divisions of criminals, from born criminals to insane criminals and others. So which were the criminals that were not born but they have done crime by circumstances or passion? According to him, these were criminaloids. Criminaloids are occasional criminals who lack atavistic stigmata but succumb to environmental pressure or emotional outbursts. Coming to question number 8, what is the primary focus of positive school regarding the legal system? We have discussed the focus of classical school, which is on crime, and in positive school definitely the focus is on victim, right? Or maybe penalty? Not actually. It is, as we discussed, is on criminal. Positivism focuses on individual offenders. It focuses on individual offenders to understand the causes of their behavior and provide appropriate treatment. Question number 9, who wrote the book named English Convict in 1913? It was a major statistical challenge to Lombroso's theories of physical stigmata. Was it Robert Martin, E.A. Houghton, or Charles Goring? Very objective question. The answer is Charles Goring. Goring used statistical methods to compare convicts and non-convicts. He found no significant physical differences, thus debunking atavism of Cesar Lombroso. So last question here goes. The positive school emphasizes which type of sentencing to ensure the offense is rehabilitated? Here comes the determinate sentencing, mandatory minimums, or intermediate sentences. The answer is intermediate sentencing. Intermediate sentences, this allows for release once an offender is deemed to be cured or rehabilitated, rather than after a fixed period. So we have discussed actually 10 questions, 10 MCQs. So thank you for watching. If you have any question, I will wait for 30 seconds. If not, I will be ending this podcast. So if you have any question regarding the positive school of criminology, you can go with, as we have today learned the positive school, where crime is influenced by biological, psychological, and social and environmental factors. We have discussed about their main methods were observation, measurement, statistics, case studies, and scientific research. We have discussed about Cesar Lombroso, with the theory of born criminals, with various historical inputs from physical features. However, his theory is rejected now. You can ask some questions on him too. We have discussed about Enrico Ferri with multiple factor theory, like anthropological, physical, and social factors, also social substitutes. So do you have anything to ask about the positive school of criminology? If not, we will move ahead tomorrow uh, with the psychological intelligence theories and other theories of criminology. We have today also learned about Raffaello Garofalo with the theory of pity and probity of natural crime. So if not, so thank you for watching. If you find this lecture useful, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and see you in the next lecture. Actually, I don't like to say people to like, share, or subscribe to my channel, because if I am contributing something good to the society, or if I am teaching something good, people would definitely like the videos. So there is no need to say like, share, or subscribe. Okay, so anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can comment there, and I will try to revert you back. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Thank you for your time. Good night.